A very good morning to one and all. And today concept is about learning how to compute the goto function. In the yesterday class, I make you to understand how to format the augmented grammar G dash from the given grammar G, and then how to write or how to compute the closure of I, and then how to name the closure of I function, how to name it for the closure of I function. These are the three things that I explained you in the last class. And I think you all understand the formation of the augmented grammar and how to write the closure of I, and then how to give the name of the closure of I set. That means the set of items we are naming with some sequence number with the alphabet I, right? And here in today class, it is the most important class. Why? Because in today class, we are going to learn about how to compute the goto function. By knowing the computation of the goto function, it is very easy to understand the SLR parsing table construction. These are the two major roles that we need to play when we're constructing the SLR parser. The first thing is just writing the closure of I just by placing or inserting the dot at the starting of the RHS in every production rule from the given grammar. And the second one is from that closure of I, now we are computing the goto functions. We are computing the goto function by the item along with the symbol. Calling the goto function with the item and along with the symbol, right? And see here, all of you make a note of this grammar, and I shared the slide to you all, where the slide consisting of an example where consider the given grammar. The given grammar is in G. See here, what the G is: S tends to A tends to ABC, A tends to B tends to D. What it means is the grammar consisting of 4 production rules, and here the variables are S, A and B, and the terminals are A, B, C, D, E. A, B, C, D, E are the terminals here, right? And from this grammar, this is the given grammar, we are considering this grammar. And now the question is, by considering the given grammar, construct SLR parsing, right? And now we're solving the problem from the given grammar. What the problem is, now we need to construct the SLR. We need to construct the SLR from the given grammar G and start with step number 1. What the step number 1 is? Initially, we need to format the augmented grammar, right? From the given grammar, what the starting symbol of the given grammar is? S. And so here the augmented grammar is an S dash tends to S. S dash tends to S. And after writing a new additional rule like this, S dash tends to S, and now the grammar becomes as an modified grammar with an G dash. The grammar becomes an modified grammar with an G dash, right? And see here, along with the S dash tends to S, now you should write all the remaining rules from the grammar G. This is an grammar G dash. For this grammar G dash, we are constructing the closure function and the goto function. Make a note of this. This is point number 1, that is step number 1. Under the construction process, we are having 4 steps. In that, the step number 1 is formatting the augmented grammar S dash tends to S, and then rewriting the grammar as, calling it as an G dash, where the given grammar is an G, and rewritten grammar in the sense, and the grammar consisting of an additional rule. So this we can call it as a modified grammar G dash. What the G dash consisting of? Along with the augmented grammar production rule, we need to write all the production rules from the grammar G. S dash tends to S tends to A, B, G, A tends to A, B, C, A tends to B tends to D. Right, this is step number 1. Is it clear? And now step number 2. What the step number 2 is? Step number 2 is to compute the closure of I. Computing the closure of I, right? And see here, for each and every rule, whatever we are having in the modified grammar G dash, whatever the production rules that consisting in the modified grammar G dash, we're taking each and every rule and we are defining the closure of I function like this. How we are defining the closure of I means, just we are inserting the dot at the starting of the right hand side rule. At the starting of the right hand side rule. That means S dash tends to S is an rule from the grammar G dash. Now, when I am writing or computing the closure of I for this rule, just I am placing an dot at the starting of the right hand side, at the starting of the right hand side of this rule. And see here, s dash tends to dot, dot a b e. What it means is the rule, the variable, it starts with, after the tends to, it starts with an dot operator. What it means is here we are inserting the dot at the starting of the RHS. At the starting of the RHS, dot s, dot a b e, a tends to dot abc, a tends to dot b, b tends to dot d. What's the difference between this grammar g dash and the closure of I grammar? That means here we compute the function closure of I. What the difference is, there we are not inserting any at the initial step, the step number 1, there we are not inserting any dot operators at the starting of the right hand side of the rules. But when we are computing the closure of I, there we are inserting the dots at the right hand side of the production rules. At the first after tends to, the first appearing symbol should be a dot operator. Make a note of this. After tends to, in each and every rule, we should insert and dot. We should insert and dot. That means here we are replacing or inserting the dot at the starting of the RHS, because this is an RHS of the production rule and this is an LHS, right? And dot s, dot AABE, a tends to dot ABC, a tends to dot B, B tends to dot D. After computing the closure of I, after computing the closure of I, just placing the dots at the starting of the RHS. Now we should give the name for it. You should give the name for it. This, whatever the name that we are defining for this set, this name is represented as an states when we are drawing the for finite automatas. When we are drawing the finite automatas, this set of rules, if you name with any type of an number with along with the alphabet, then those can be considered as an states. At last, it is the last step. There we are defining the representing an graph. That graph is nothing but an finite automata graph, where it should be an NFA or DFA, whatever the automata it may be. But we are representing the states by taking from the item numbers, So here we are computing for the closure of I, right? Closure of I is an item. So what I am doing here is just I am giving the name for this set of rules with the I naught. I naught is I am starting my item with an 0 sequence. I am starting my items numbers with an 0 sequence, right? This overall set of states, set of rules, this overall set of rules can be defined with an single number, that is an item number 0, right? Is it clear? And now this is the second step, that here we compute the closure of I function, and from the I naught, after defining the I naught, then there itself we need to compute the goto function. The next step is computing the goto function. See here, how to compute the goto function. In I naught, how many rules are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And from the starting rule itself, I need to check it out. After dot, which variable is there? Yes, right. Now we need to construct or compute the goto for this S. Why? Because I need to process the S. Why means here the variable of S consisting of with the dot. The variable S consisting with the dot. So I need to process S here. And I'm checking out whether there are any other rules with the S, right? So if this is from the set of I naught. I'm checking from the set of I naught until I will end the checking of the I naught till when I reach or when I do the computation for this D. That means whatever the rules that the set consisting of, every rule should be processed. That means the dot operator should move forward just by processing that particular symbol. The symbol may be a terminal or it may be a non-terminal, right? See, this I naught is consisting of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rules. In those 5 rules, from the starting rule itself, I need to check it out. And checking from rule number 1, here after the dot, what the variable is? Yes. So now I need to compute the goto function with I naught, because this is under the I naught item, I naught comma s, and I am checking whether there are any other s variables in the given grammar. That means after dot, is there any s variable? There are no s variables in other production rule. So I am taking only this production rule and I am computing the goto function. How I am calling this means goto of I naught comma s. See, goto of I naught comma s. When I call this function goto of I naught comma s, then that after processing this s variable, processing this symbol s, what will happen means initially it is the dot is before the s, right? And after calling the goto function, the dot moves forward. The dot moves forward to the s. That means what it means is the end of the production rule is computed. The end of it is the goto function for this production rule is computed. Why? Because there are no more left in the right hand side of the production rule. There is only one s at the right hand side in the production, like an s dash tends to dot s, and after calling the goto function, that is I naught comma s, then the dot moves forward and the right hand side is completed. There are no more any symbols in the right hand side. That means this rule is completed. Right, this rule is completed by calling the goto function I naught with s. Now it is a new production rule. Just we are naming it by the new item I1. We are continuing the sequence from I naught, I1, I2, I3 like that. We are continuing the sequence numbers from 0 to so on. And after calling the goto of I naught comma s, and here it was completed, and I am giving a new item number I1. Then I'll go for the next item. See here, in the I naught, and what in the second rule it is after dot, what I'm having, it is a terminal, a symbol with a terminal, right? Now I am calling the goto function with I naught comma small a, here. See all of you, I naught comma small a means s tends to, initially from the I naught it is dot a. Now after processing the a, it becomes a dot, a b e, right? And what these rules means, see here, after dot, what we are having here, after processing, it is before processing, this rule number 2 is before processing. And after processing, see here, after processing, the dot moves forward. That means here I am calling with the terminal a, right? Here I am calling the goto function with the terminal a. What it means is, initially it is before, the dot is before the a. Now after processing, it becomes an after a. The dot places it after a, right? And here after the dot, what we are having, a is a variable. If you are having the productions like this after processing, then you need to write whatever the rules that we are having under the a from the I naught, you need to place it here. You need to write here, right? These two are again from the I naught. That means we are not processing the dot, as it is we are taking from the I naught. Dot a b c dot b. Why we are taking like that means, after processing the terminal a, here the dot moves forward, and after moving to the forward, and the dot is inserted before the non-terminal. And so if you are having such type, after processing, if you are having such type of conditions, then what we need to do is, whatever the variable we are having here, we need to write the production rules for that variable from the closure of I, that is from the I naught, right? See, a is having two rules, so I am writing the two rules. A tends to dot abc. Here I need not proceed the dot operator forward, just as it is I am taking the rules from the I naught. A tends to dot abc, a tends to dot b, and these three are the new production rules after processing the goto function with an a. So make it as a new item I2, and now again check in the I naught. This S is completed, this terminal A is completed. Now in the third rule, what I'm having? Dot A. And now I need to call the goto function for I naught with capital A, I naught with the variable A. And no more rules with the A. Only I'm taking these rules, right? And I naught with A, just calling the goto function I naught with A. And what will happen? After processing, it becomes A tends to A dot BC. See here, after dot, what we are having, it is in terminal. So no need to write anything. But here we are having after the dot a non-terminal. So for what the non-terminal we are having A. So what the production rules that we are having from the I naught for the A. So we need to write the productions of under the A here. Right, is it clear? But why we are not writing here means here after the dot we are having the terminal. If we are having the terminals, no need to write the productions from the I naught. If you are having the non-terminals like this, and what the variable is here, A. From the I naught we are having the rules for the A. So just writing those rules here. Is it clear? And here the third rule is also completed by calling the goto function. And what the next rule is? Dot B. And now goto of I naught with B. Goto of I naught with B. What it mean? From the I naught it is a dot B, and after processing with an B, it becomes A tends to B dot. Now this is also a new item, so make it as an I4. This is also a new item, so make it as an I3, right? And next, from the I naught, what the last one is? D. So I am calling goto of I naught comma D. Goto of I naught comma D. And after processing, it becomes B tends to D dot. That is, again, it is a new production rule. Just I am giving an number I5. See, from the I naught, I processed everything. That means after dot, what I am having S is there, I processed it. After dot, what it is? A, I process it. And after dot, what it is there? A, I process it. And after dot, B, the processing is completed. And after dot, what it is there? D. And there is nothing in the I naught. So every rules, every productions are processed from the I naught. So the set of canonical items in I naught processing is completed. Now I am checking for the other items. And see here, the I1 is also completed. Why? Because there is nothing is there to process it. Because after dot, nothing is there. After dot, nothing is there to call. So I need not to do any goto function for the I1. And this rule is completed. And now I am checking for the I2 rule. See here in the I2 rule, I am having after dot A is there. And for the A, I am having two rules here. For the A, I am having two rules here. And B is there. And first initially I am calling the goto of I2 with this A. I2 with this A. When I am calling the goto of I2 with this A variable, then I am having two rules. So I need to process these two rules at a time. So I2 with A. First initially I am processing this. And what after processing, how the rule looks like? S tends to A dot BE. Right, comma. And I am processing in this rule. A tends to A dot BC. Right? And see here, after dot, what the symbol that is? It is a non-terminal. What it mean? After processing with the symbol by calling with an goto function, and if we are having the non-terminal like this, after the dot we are having the non-terminal like this, then we need to write the rules for this non-terminal from the I naught. That means from the I naught means in the I naught, what the rule for the B is B tends to dot D, right? That's why I'm writing B tends to dot D here. B tends to dot D. Why I'm writing this is here after dot I am having the variable. If I'm having the non-terminal B, what I need to do? I need to write and rules of the B from the I naught. From the I naught, right? Make a note. And here see, after dot I am having terminal B. So no need to write anything here, right? If you understand the rules I2 and I6, then it is clear to you all. Here also dot, after dot we are having a variable A. So for that we are writing these two rules from the I naught. And here we are having the variable b after the dot. So for that we are writing the rule b tends to dot d from the I naught, right? This is from the I2. Why? Because in I2 we are having dot a at two production rules. Dot a at two production rules. So at a time I am calling the I2 item with an variable a, with a non-terminal a. So when I call this goto function, then automatically these two rules will be processed. These two rules will be processed. And after processing, I will check it out whether after dot, whether it may be a non-terminal or the terminal. Here in this rule, I'm having the non-terminal. So what I need to do, from the I naught, I need to write the production rule for this B. So I'm just writing this B. And when I'm checking here, I'm not having any non-terminal here, just it is a terminal. So leave it, right? And whatever the rules under this are all the new rules, new production rules. So I'm giving with a new item number I6, right? And again in I2, I'm having another production rule, that is an B. So I'm calling the goto function with I2 comma B, I2 comma B. This is already completed item at I4. So again, I'm not writing that and I'm not giving the another new item for that. Just I am taking that old item and just I'm writing here. I'm writing the old item number here. Why? Because what it means is goto of I2 comma B is I4. What in I4? It is A tends to B dot, right? Is it clear now? So no need to write again, no need to process again. Just write the existing item number for such type of conditions. And I2 is completed. No more rules are in I2. Now check in I3. Here in I3, after dot, what I'm having? B. So go to of I3 comma B, I3 comma B, and after processing, how it looks like? After processing, how it looks like? I2 comma B, sorry, this is I3 comma B, A tends to A B dot C. After processing, the production is A tends to A B dot C. Before it is A dot BC. After processing, it is AB dot C. What it mean here? I call the goto function for the B at I3. So the dot which is appearing at before and after performing or after processing, it appears after the B. And then it is also a new rule here. So I am naming it for the I7. I am naming it for I7, right? It is a new item number. And now check for the I3 is completed and there is nothing to do in I4 because B dot, there is nothing is there in the RHS of this rule. Now D dot, nothing is there in the RHS of this rule. Now go to I6. In I6 we are having dot B, dot B, dot D. So we need to call I6 with B, I6 with variable B, I6 with the terminal B and I6 with terminal D. See here. I6 with B. See what the I6 with B? What the I6 with B is? What it is? When I am calling the item number 6 with the variable B, then the production is S tends to AAB dot E. AAB dot E. That is the new production rule, right? And I'm naming it for the I8. I'm continuing the sequence numbers. Now it is an I8. And see, goto of I6 with B. This was already an completed processing rule. It is already completed processing rule. I6 with B is A dot BC, right? A dot BC. And if I call I6 with B, then how the production is A B dot C. That means it is already in an I7. So just I am writing I7 like this. I am writing I7, not repeating the production rule again and again. Just I am taking the item number there itself, right? And I6 with D. I6 with D means B D dot. It was already completed production. It was already completed production. That means we already processed for that production rule. So it is an fifth item. So again, I am taking that I5. I5. And now I6 was completed here. In I6, I call B, and I call this D. And now this is an I4. No need to write, no need to do the go to function. And now see in 7, I7, here I am having dot C, right? So I need to call go to of I7 comma C, I7 comma C, and it becomes A tends to ABC dot. Again, it is a new production rule by giving with an I9, giving the name of that item with an I9, right? And I7 is completed. Now check in I8. Here I8 is after dot we are having E. So go to of I8 comma E, and what it will happen? S tends to AABE dot. Now the production is written as S tends to AABE dot. It is after processing. This is before processing. This is after processing. And again, this is also a new production rule. So this is item number 10. This is item number 10. And checking out I7 is already completed, I5 is already completed item. So in I9, nothing is there to do. In I10, nothing is there to process. So totally the overall production rules from the given grammar are processed. How we can note that every production rule in the grammar is processed means, see what the first rule there? What the first rule there? S dash tends to dot S, right? S dot means processing completed. What the second rule there? S tends to AABE, right? S tends to dot AABE in I naught. And see here, S tends to AABE dot. In item number 10, the processing of the dot, the rule was processed with the dot just by calling with an go to function, right? That means for rule 1, rule 2 is completed the processings. And what the rule 3 is? A tends to dot ABC. See here, in I9, A tends to ABC dot. That means this rule was also completed. Initially in I0, it is at the right starting of the right hand side, but here in I9, it is end of the right hand side rule. It is end of the right hand side rule. That's the indication that we processed that production rule, right? And third rule is also completed. What the fourth rule? A tends to B dot. In I4, it is completed. We done the processing of this rule. A tends to B dot. Initially at I0, it is dot B. And after processing, it is B dot. And B tends to D dot is the fifth rule. That means B tends to dot D in I0. And after processing, it becomes B tends to D dot. What it means is, whatever the rules that we are having in the given grammar, that means in the given grammar, we are having 5 rules. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 rules. After checking from in the go to functions, in the go to function computation, we complete the processing of each and every production rule. How we know that is at the initial initial placing at the I0, initial itself we are placing at the I0, the dot is inserted at the starting of the right hand side, right? The dot is inserted at the starting of the right hand side. But after performing the go to functions, then where the dot is inserted or placed or moves forward by processing the go to function at the end of the right hand side. Initially it is at the starting of the right hand side of the production rule, and after performing the go to function, it is at the end of the production rule. It is at the end of the production rule, right? This is the indication that how we can know that we complete all the items, there are nothing more to process it means just by checking this, just by checking like this, we can understand every rule was processed, and in every rule the dot was placed at the end of the right hand side. So no more rules are there to be processed. And finally, we are concluding that the canonical set of items are I0, I1, I2, I3, and so on, I10. In this grammar, the overall items that we compute by calling the go to function is from 0 to 9. Is from 0 to 9. These I0 to I0 to I10 items are represented as an states when we are drawing or when we are constructing the finite automatas. Is it clear? This is the implementation or the computation of the go to function. Most important. This is very simple grammar. This LR we are implementing for the simple grammars, right? So very simple grammar, and it is very easy to understand and very easy to develop. And if you are clear with the construction of this goto function, then it is very easy to construct the predictive parsing table, right? It is very easy to construct the parsing table for the SLR. And the parsing table, how to construct the parsing table, I will explain in the next class. Before that, up to now, you understand step number 1, step number 2, and step number 3, right? And all of you make a note of this grammar. This is another example grammar. E tends to E plus T or T tends to T star or F tends to open parenthesis, E closed parenthesis, or ID or num. Make a note of this grammar and you construct step number 1, step number 2, and step number 3. And in the next class, I will explain how to construct the table from these computations. And after constructing the table, I will show you the stack implementation. Stack implementation means I will show you how the input string is going to be parsed with the stack. And then finally, we are representing the graph. That graph is nothing but an finite automata. Whatever the graph were constructed at last, that is nothing but an finite automata. We can name it whether it is an NFA or DFA. No need to bother whether it should be only the DFA or it should be only the NFA. There are nothing constants like that. But here, at last, we are representing the finite automata from the computations. And for this grammar, make a note of this grammar. How many rules we are having? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Along with the augmented grammar, we are having 8 rules. Right. And with this, step number 3 is completed, right? What the step number 4? Finding the first and follow functions, right? Finding the first and follow functions. Now, after constructing the goto function, now you need to represent a table, first and follow table. Just write down the production rules, 1 colon, first function and follow function. Second colon is in first function and the third colon is a follow function. Now write the rules here. Write down the rules here. Whatever the rules that we are having from the given grammar, write down the rules. Now what the first of S is. Now what the first of A, first of B, and what the first follow of S, follow of A, follow of B, right? And you please, you all understand LL parsing construction. So you all please construct the table for first and follow function. Construct the table for first and follow function, and whatever the outputs that we are getting at the first and follow function, these we are using at the place of representing or the constructing the parsing table. What the first of S is, what the first of A is, what the first of B is. For the augmented grammar also, we need to construct the first and follow. What the first of S dash, what the follow of S dash is. And then after finding out the first and follow function, then the last step is constructing the parsing table. Constructing the parsing table for the SLR parser. And with the computations, and by using the first and follow table, we are constructing the SLR parsing table. Means SLR parsing table consisting of 2 columns mainly. One is the action and the other one is a goto. Action and the goto. Action means whatever the 4 basic functions that we are having in shift reduce parsers, we need to perform all those, either to shift, either to reduce or to accept, or it may be an error. And always make a note of this, always the action of action of $1 is accept. When we are representing the table, after writing the columns and the rows, first initially we need to fill the entry of action of $1 is accept. Action of $1 is accept. Then after we will check it out, the remaining entries, checking for the filling of remaining entries. And initially what we need to do is, after representing the table, first we need to fill the entry at $1 is accept. The action of $1 is accept. Then with the basic operations of the shift reduce parser, it may be shift, reduce, error, or accept, we are filling the entries in the remaining cells. Here the serial numbers are the item numbers. We are taking item numbers in the place of variables, that means in non-terminals of the left hand side, we are taking the colon as an item numbers. See, from in this grammar we are having I0 to I10 item numbers, means 0 to 10 item numbers we get here. And the first, in the action we are representing the terminals along with the dollar. In the goto we are representing the variables, only the variables, that means the left hand side of the variables from the given grammar. And after knowing the computation of this goto function, what the next thing you need to do is finding out the first and follow function and just represent the table for that first and follow. And then after constructing the first and follow, then the final step is to construct the SLR parsing table. In the next class, I will explain the construction of parsing table, and initially I will explain what the outputs of the first and follow from this given grammar, and then I will explain the construction of the parsing table. And for the next class, please get the computations for this example, and you also find the first and follow function for this example. And for the next class, this is an exercise problem for you. Please, all of you, get the answer for this. Get the answer for this means step number 1, complete step number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then in tomorrow class, I will explain how to construct the parsing table, right? And after knowing the construction of parsing table for this example, then you yourself can represent the table for this example. I will explain for this example tomorrow. And after knowing how to represent the table, you represent the predictive parsing, not in predictive parsing, always predictive parsing means it is an LL of 1, sorry for that. For LR parsing, or it may be an SLR parsing table, or simply call it as a parsing table, nothing is there. For the parsing table, you construct the table for this grammar, right? All of you, please make a note of this example and get the computations for this example for the tomorrow class. Then after knowing and after understanding the construction of the parsing table, then you can represent the table for this example.